Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. It's me, Miss Riri. I'm back. Sorry, I just ordered Postmates and I'm anxiously awaiting its arrival because I am starving. Anyways, I'm back with more reviews this week, doing Married to Medicine tonight, The Real Housewives of Orange County, and Love and Hip Hop. So I'll start off with Married to Medicine and the snack of the week, which is Waffle Crisp. Does anybody remember this cereal? This is one of my favorite cereals. I thoroughly enjoyed it as a child. It is very hard to find in grocery stores now. None of the grocery stores in my area carry it, but I was able to find it on Amazon. So don't worry if you like it and miss it. I will put the link to the Amazon Market or whatever link I bought it from in the description of this video. And I often eat cereal as a 30-something working girl with a career and 2 full-time jobs. Yeah, a lot of time I don't feel like having dinner or having time to make dinner and things like that. And although it's not super healthy, cereal will fill you right up and take the hunger pangs away and put you right to sleep. Plus, it's just it's a good snack to have while you're while you're watching TV. And you don't even have to have milk if you're not really that into milk. I eat mine with almond milk because when you know better, you do better. And I'm not a huge dairy person, as I've stated before. So yeah, I mean, Waffle Crisp tastes exactly like a waffle with syrup. So like I said, I'll put the link to the cereal in the description, and change your life and thank me later. So let's move on to the review. This is Married to Medicine, Season 6, Episode 3. And we pick right up where we left off in the last episode. Dr. Scott, he arrives home from the party, he was pissed off that, Toya shaded his wife in front of the whole party, especially because although Contessa didn't show up, she still sent her husband to the party. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry about that. That's the fucking worst. I ordered Postmates and they send me a text message saying one of the items I ordered is not available. How is a cheese enchilada not available in a Mexican restaurant? Anyways, so like I said, Scott was pissed off still and came home all fired up to tell Contessa about everything that transpired. And, Contessa's father is in really bad shape. She said when she got to the airport to pick him up, he had fallen asleep in the airport for 4 hours. Then when she got him in the car, he fell asleep in the car. And, this isn't really normal behavior for an adult, especially if you don't think there's much wrong with them. So she's concerned. And, in my head the whole time I was thinking Toya ought to be ashamed of herself, because this just goes to show there's so much other things in life that are more important than a stupid party and things like that. And I think the group is right about her that, she's loyal to her friends and she expects the same in return. But it's not like Contessa didn't send Scott in her absence. It's not like, she skipped out to go home and take a nap or pulled the whole I don't have a babysitter line. Her father is sick. And Toya, when your Snaggletooth father was there last season, you guys are talking about sex toys and dildos. Nobody judged you and your father. So I think, and at the end of the day, like I said, the party was for Eugene, right? So why are you tripping? Why are you tripping? If Eugene wasn't tripping that Contessa didn't show up, I don't see why you are. But anyways, Contessa brings up the fact that Toya throws a party for everything, which is true. I mean, she throws a party for the taxes, for being, not owing the government money anymore. She throws a birthday party every year. She throws wine party. Like, Toya is the epitome of a bored housewife that spends her husband's money all day. But we'll get to that a little bit later. And, Contessa, she's not thinking about Toya. She's focused on her dad, as she should be. I think when you have serious things like that going on, the friendships of people who are barely your friend, because let's call a spade a spade. Toya and Contessa aren't really that close. They kind of had some beef last season. So, again, I don't see why Contessa or why Toya is really that offended that Contessa didn't show up. So, we go to the next scene, and Heavenly and Jackie arrive at a paintballing studio. I don't know what those are called, but they arrive at a paintballing arena, maybe. Let's go with that. And they say Quad will be joining them. And I was like, word? Because one, that doesn't really seem like her thing. And two, according to y'all, Quad doesn't show up anywhere these days. So I found it odd that of all places she'd be showing up to go paintballing. But Heavenly's hoping by, doing the paintballing and shooting some guns around that contain balls of paint, that, that Quad will be able to blow off some steam. And Jackie just wants Quad to come around more and says that she needed her friends when she was going through her issues with infidelity and separation. And the thing about you, Jackie, is that you're transparent and a truthful person, and Quad is fake as fuck. And if things aren't appearing perfect in her life, she doesn't want to be around her friends because it lets down the facade that, yes, Miss Quad, yeah, she can't do all that because she's feeling other things right now. So she can do her, side note. I was watching the Queen Supreme Court with T.S. Madison and Funky Dineva guest starred on there earlier, yesterday, which was Monday. And for those of you who don't know, Funky Dineva was originally on the show that Quad is on with Selena Johnson and all those people. What is the show called? The Sister Circle. Funky Dineva was originally on the show. And all I know, because I'm a fan of Funky Dineva and I watch his videos, all I know is that something happened and he's no longer on the show. He says that he can't really talk about it because of contractual issues, and that's all he's really said. And he has said in other videos and his reviews of Married to Medicine that, him and Quad used to be friendly and they're not so much anymore. But instead of speaking on it himself, because it sounds like to me he's got probably a gag order due to his contract with the Sister Circle, but T.S. Madison does not. And what she was saying was that Quad stole Funky Dineva's whole thing. Like all his slang, all his, everything that makes him great, which, again, I'm a Dineva fan. I go up for Funky Dineva. Everything that makes him great, Quad stole, and it became her shtick on that show. So I found that interesting, which, again, plays into the narrative that Quad is fake as fuck, and she has no personality of her own. And if she's not trying to be, a caricature of a black gay male, then she turns into what I call the Harpo voice, like, how dare you say these things about me? Like, she's so dramatic. But anyways, but Jackie says she wants Quad to come around more because when she was going through her issues, she really needed her friends, and, Quad's not going to do that because that would require her to be a real person and not play the victim. And she's just not, that's not who she is. I feel like they're expecting too much out of her as a friend, and they just need to meet her where she's at. And if they're going to have her around, just agree that you won't talk about her situation unless she brings it up, because that's the kind of friend Quad is. And we all have, there's levels to friendships. That we have friends, or at least I do. I have friends that are like my going out friends. I know I can go out with them and have a good time. I have friends that I can call at 3 o'clock in the morning and they'd be there for me if I needed them. And I have friends that I know I can't expect much out of the friendship other than, surfacey stuff. And Quad is that third type of friend. You can't expect much out of the friendship other than surfacey things and having a good time, because she doesn't know how to be a real person. And I think the sooner this group of women learns that, the easier things will be. Or you just need to decide that she's not the kind of friendship that you want to have and move on. And of course, Quad doesn't show up. She sends some text message that she had a meeting that she must attend, because everybody talks like that in text message. She said she has a meeting that she must attend, so she won't make it. And I'm just like, you work on TV. I'm pretty sure your meetings are scheduled well in advance. So come better. Like, people are tired of your excuses, Quad. You could have come better than that, or just been honest and be like, shit, man, I didn't want to go. And that's where I'm at in life. Like, I stopped making excuses for why I don't show up places because, it's phony. I just be like, it's Friday night. I'm tired. I don't want to go. It is what it is. Eventually people will stop pulling your leg to go places and stuff when you stand firm in the fact that you just don't want to go. If you just be like, yeah, bitch, yeah, I don't want to go. That's it. Move on. But the women, they move on, get over the fact that Claude's not going. Jackie and Heavenly go outside and play bang bang, shoot 'em up with the paintball guns, and Jackie won, and that was the end of that. So we move on to Simone. She was teaching her son Michael how to drive, and on all these reality shows, I just can't believe how fast these kids grow up. I mean, on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Riley's driving now. When she was on that, when she first got on that show, she was in pigtails. Simone's oldest son went away to college. Michael's learning how to drive now. It just shows how fast time goes by. And he wants to learn how to drive in the Maserati. And Simone said that ain't happening. And I was just like, yeah, I agree with you. That's an expensive car. But he will learn how to drive in the Jag. So, Simone was being a typical mom while she was teaching him how to drive. And it flashed me back to my mom teaching me how to drive. For the longest, she would just put me in an abandoned parking lot. And how I learned how to drive was she would just say, take your foot off the brake. And you know how the car rolls around automatically when you do that? That's how I learned to drive. Anytime I would lightly touch the gas, she'd be like, slow down. Oh, you're gonna hit those cars. So Simone was basically doing that. But afterwards, they sit down in the kitchen to talk, and she brings him up to speed on the progress that him and her I promise you guys I can talk. She brings him up to speed on the progress that her and Cecil are making and where they're at with things thus far, because Michael is, as Simone proclaims, her most sensitive child, and he was really affected negatively when they were going through their issues. And like I always say, it'd be different if they were just dealing with this as a family, but you're on a reunion show that's national saying that you want to divorce his father. I can't imagine that these things are easy. But I do respect the relationship that Simone has with her sons and how open the lines of communication are. Because as kids, as teenagers, that's all you can really ask for from your parents. I think kids and teenagers tend to not talk to their parents about things when their parents seem not open to these discussions and to expressing their feelings. So that's one thing I think Simone does really well with her boys, is she communicates with them really well. And Michael, he knows his parents. As she was telling him things, he was like, well, the problem is you're both stubborn. And I was like, well, Simone, he's not wrong. It's true. They are both stubborn, and I thought that was a nice scene. So we move on to Contessa. She's back at home cooking dinner. Her wig at home looked a little bit better. So I'm like, okay, Contessa, we're making some steps here. However, the confessional hair is still an issue for me. But her dad said that, he had a bit more energy today, but looking at her dad, you can tell he's unwell. There's certain things that I recognize as a healthcare professional, such as, the quality of his skin and what his skin looked like, and his lips and things like that. You could tell he was not well. And I loved the way that her and her husband sat down and kind of doctored him. They did a consultation right in the kitchen, and he basically tells them the doctors think that he has prostate cancer. And he kind of went back and forth well, it's not cancer, but they think it's cancer, but it might not be cancer. He was trying not to tell her the whole truth because he didn't want to hurt her, and he said he's not suffering, he's not in any pain or anything per se, but, seeing Contessa so upset made him upset. And I think a lot of times we as kids, we try not, I had a situation with my mom last year where she had a health scare. And I tried so very hard not to let her see me sweat, because I knew if she saw me sweat, she would be scared. And, when you're a healthcare, I'm not a doctor, by the way, but I do work in healthcare, and when you're a healthcare professional and you know how certain things tend to play out on paper, and you've seen it happen with your patients, but not necessarily up close and personal, it is frightening. And that's exactly how I felt. And so I sympathize with Contessa a lot. You know, unfortunately for me, my mom's situation turned out to be a false alarm. But, you know, all those tests and the hurry up and wait and the it might be this, but it's probably not, but we got to rule this out. All that shit is so scary, especially because as a healthcare professional, you tell people this crap every day. You know, you're trained to tell people this stuff. But when it happens to you and you're just like, I just want answers. I just want to know if my loved one is going to be okay. It is like a never-ending waiting game. So, you know, he apologizes for leaving Contessa out of the loop as far as his healthcare is concerned, and promises that he's going to do better. So, we move on to Mariah. And I don't care for Mariah as a person. I think she's the spawn of Satan. But I do enjoy the scenes with her being a mom, because that's the only time we really get to see Mariah be a human being that's not spineless. So her daughter is cleaning out her closet, and she feels that her clothes look babyish. And it's brought up that she's going into high school. It's like, my goodness, she looks so young. She looks like a 6th grader. But you know, Mariah tries to stop her from throwing out her clothes because they're all label clothes, because, I mean, she's Mariah's daughter, so why would she have anything less than a Kate Spade dress? But, you know, her daughter wants to grow up a little bit, and she wants to be seen as a teenager, not a little girl with a Kate Spade dress with a big bow on it right here, you know? And they show some flashback photos to Mariah in the Memphis days. I'm just like, ooh, Mariah, I knew you used to be a rat. I knew it. She looks like a rat. She looks very different. It even looks like her skin's lighter, you know? And I wouldn't put it past Mariah to be one of those bitches that uses skin cream to make herself look lighter, you know? But, you know, they have the birds and the bees talk. And again, this flashed me back to a situation with me and my mom, because my mom tried to sit me down to talk about sex. And this gets brought up because Mariah discusses that her mom, the other spawn of Satan, Lucy, put her on birth control at an early age, although Mariah was not having sex. She was being prophylactic, so to speak. And, you know, when my mom and I had the sex talk, I had been hearing some of my hussy friends say certain things. And I asked my mom, you know, she kind of gave me the birds and the bees scientific talk about sex. And she asked me if I had any questions. And I asked her what male ejaculation was, and she decided that it was not the time for us to have this talk. She was not ready, and we never talked about sex again. So, you know, parents, just be prepared. Your kids are going to ask questions. If they hear stuff, kids are faster these days than they were when I was that age. So I'm sure they're asking far more questions than that. But I think it's a healthy topic to discuss. I mean, sex is everywhere now. It's all over TV. It's all over everything. So I think it was smart that Mariah talked to her daughter about this. And, you know, she claims, like I said, that Lucy put her on birth control, but she wasn't doing it. And just like, okay, Mariah. So anyways, Toya and Eugene are out looking at homes. And I was just like, didn't you guys just move into the shit that you're in now? Like, you know, I was just like, they don't learn. Like, you just, and this house was extravagant. It looked up to speed with the last house that put them into debt, that they were paying something astronomical like $14,000 a month on. And, you know, they say they're ready to find their forever home. And Toya claims that they're more responsible now as they're looking at a almost $3 million home. And, it just seems like they're making the same mistake to me. And at first I was like, this has Toya's grubby hand all over it. I know it was her idea. But come to find out, it's Eugene. And here's the thing. Eugene, you already have the girl. She seems to be in love with you. I don't think she's just with you for things anymore. I do believe that was the original motive. But I do think that she loves you at this point. You don't have to keep trying to buy her affection. If you guys don't, you know, all the other doctors and families on this show, they all have nice homes, nothing crazy extravagant, although Heavenly's backyard was gorgeous, but they all have nice, modest homes, aka they live within their means. Eugene, I suggest you do the same. Like, your wife doesn't have an income. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses that don't exist, because nobody else in your group of friends is living like, you know, lavishly. Yeah, they all have nice homes. They all drive nice cars. But they're not living in mansions. I think the only person that's living in a very, very large house is probably Heavenly, which 2 working people live in that home. In fact, 2 doctors of a sort live in that home. So they can probably afford that. I think it's a stretch that these people can even afford a $2 million home. But, you know, I ain't trying to be in their pocket like that. But Toya was able to reel him in and say, you know, we need to remember that we need to be practical and not just be spending money just to spend it, which, you know, this is one of the only times I'll give Toya Bush Harris a compliment. That was smart. Make sure your husband doesn't make the same mistake again. So, Heavenly planned her crab boil and she's getting things ready. She's got Mama, aka Alora, out in the backyard helping her. And Heavenly had Alora hand her a bag of living crabs that the bottom of the bag was wet. So you could tell when you pick this up, the crabs are going to fall out, which is exactly what happened. They all fell out on the floor. And Simone got there just in time to save the day. She picked up the live crabs and was helping Heavenly, know how to cook them. And I'm just like, well, why are you having a crab boil if you don't know how to boil crab? I would think that's the prerequisite. But, they kind of speculate again if Quad's coming. And I'm just like, oh, shit, I hope this girl comes. Because I'm tired of hearing about this shit. I am tired of it. Quad, you better show up. If she doesn't show up, just who cares? Move on with your lives. I am not in the business of keeping friends or men that don't want to be kept. I'm only going to reach out to you so many times before I'm just like, I don't know what she's up to. I tried reaching out to her 3 weeks ago and she didn't hit me back. So I'm not chasing anybody down. And that's kind of the mindset Simone has also. She's not trying to run Quad down. She's been a good friend to Quad. Quad has chosen to not speak to Simone in her time of need. So Simone's like, if she shows up, I'm going to keep it real with her and let her know what time it is. So, Simone's like, we're either friends or we're not. And she's not acting like a friend right now. So Mariah arrives, and this is like a backyard shindig, and she's a pan. She's like really fancy for the occasion. And then Contessa and her tacky outfit arrived. It was like we had the extreme and the, not so extreme. And Simone asks, how Contessa's dad is doing, and she says that the last thing she was going to do when her dad arrived was into town was attend some bullshit function of Toya's after seeing him in the condition that he was in. And I was like, yep, I would have done the same. But Mariah goes, well, just make sure you don't say bullshit function when Toya gets here. And I was like, why the fuck not? That's exactly what it was. It was a party filled with heart-shaped balloons, with people in Halloween costumes, guys as healthcare professionals. It was stupid. And she's right. Her father and his health was more important in that moment. And I'm just like, Mariah, if she wants to call it a bullshit event to Toya's face after the shade that Toya threw at her, by all means, let that be her will. Like, if that's what she wants to do, let her do that shit. And Contessa's like, I heard she had a lot to say about me. So basically, fuck Toya. And I was like, Contessa, aside from your wig, me and you are here this season. We see each other, So, Toya, arrives, and she decides she's not gonna entertain, she's not gonna speak with Contessa. She doesn't want to entertain Contessa and her negativity. And I'm just like, Toya, you are the coward of all cowards. The one thing I can respect about Mariah is she doesn't run from shit. Toya is good for talking big shit behind someone's back. And when she gets in front of them, she wants to, I'm not going to address this, back down. And she will get into it with you sometimes. But, when she's wrong and she knows she's wrong, she's going to shut up. And that's exactly what she did. And, Contessa was ready to fight. She was looking for a fight. And Toya just wasn't going to give that to her. So, again, we should have played a drinking game in this episode. Every time someone speculated whether or not Quad was coming to an event, we take a shot. We'd be drunk by the middle of the episode because this again, they bring up whether or not Quad is coming. And finally, she arrives. And, she's like, hey, everybody. And they all do that fake, like, hey. Like, how somebody that you don't really like comes in a place and they say hi to everybody. And you're just like, hey. Like, that dry hey. That's what they all did. So, Simone, very dryly, is like, Quad, catch us up on what's been going on. And Toya asks Quad why she hasn't been coming around. And Quad still stands by the fact that she's reached out, and I just don't think that this many people are wrong about the fact that Quad, you have not reached out to them. Why would they all be saying the same thing? Especially Simone, who was one of your good friends in the group. And Contessa, she's still a dog with a bone. So she's like, girl, don't feel bad. They ain't called me either about my dad. And Toya says under her breath, I don't call people that talk about me behind my back. And I'm like, what is actually your beef? Is your beef the fact that she didn't show up to the party? Or is her beef still the shit that she said about you and your taxes last season? Because you seem to be all over the place and you're playing the cowardly lion. So nobody knows what you're talking about, crazy. You just sound nuts. And then Contessa says some old Southern, slang. Like, what did she say? Chickens don't roll with hens, or some other shit like that. It was equivalent to like, I know you are, but what am I? It was just like, oh, Contessa, that was a read from like, probably when my grandma and them used to read each other. That was like one of those, you don't compare when you don't compete. It was like some bullshit. But go Contessa, you stick up for yourself, girl. And Simone, she wants it with Quad. From the minute Quad walked in, you could tell Simone just wanted to unleash. So they start to bicker. And, Quad says that she's going through a lot. And they all start to kind of crowd around Quad and try to get to the bottom of things. And Quad walks out crying. It was a really overwhelming scene. Putting myself in Quad's shoes. Like, if everybody... and look, I don't know how it was edited, but it seemed like she'd been in the party for a hot 5 minutes, and everybody's jumping all over her, like, where you been, what you been doing, what's going on, why haven't you called, and literally, she's standing up, and they're all crowding around her. It was really overwhelming. So she walks out crying, and Heavenly, because it's her house, she ran after her, and, Quad doesn't want to face this with them, and that's what they all need to realize. She is choosing not to share these things with you. And it's just like, leave it, let her be. Again, I'm not running after nobody to help them if they don't want my help. And I understand she was your guys' friend, and you just want to help her, but she doesn't want it. Move on. And let's see. Quad doesn't want to face them. Contessa thinks, the group is wrong, that they're treating Quad wrong. But Contessa, you're kind of new to the group. You don't know how Quad gets down. Quad is, if the shoe were on the other foot, she'd be just like them, and the thing that I have an issue with Quad about, though, is that everybody except for Heavenly, everybody's marriage on this show has taken a hit at some point, and very publicly. So Quad, why you think that you're above discussing all that on camera with these women is really beyond me. I don't understand it. But she says that Toya won't let her speak, and Contessa took that moment to throw her jab in and was like, it's because Toya's plastic. She doesn't get it. And Mariah decides to be kind of messy boots and bring Quad her purse. And she walks outside, and, Quad basically was like, put it over there. Like, girl, bye. And Mariah acts like, Quad told her to fuck off. And she was like, I was just trying to help you, dumbass, you little bitch. And I was like, oh my God, this took a turn, crazy. And after that, explosion. Her and Quad start getting into it. And they're in what appears to be Heavenly's garage, almost nose to nose, arguing, going back and forth. And I watched this twice, okay? Because I wanted to make sure. Quad swatted at Mariah like, girl, bye. And Mariah took off on Quad like Quad was trying to fight her. I was like, Mariah, girl, calm down. Like, she didn't even make contact with you. She didn't even touch you. But, basically, though, after that wore off, Mariah tells Quad, it's me. Like, if anybody in that group knows Quad, it's Mariah. They were friends first. Mariah was around, I believe, when Quad and Dr. G began dating and things like that. So, she takes her to the side and they shut a door, and Mariah's basically like, look, you don't have to fake it. It's me. Talk to me. And the others, they're not interested. Toya, Simone, they're at the table eating crab. And, Simone's like, I'm not chasing Quad. Every time shit gets tough for her, she wants to take off and run. And it's true. I mean, you know, on the boat last season when they went on vacation, when they all confronted her with how she acts like a princess and, you know, she's above the rest. She pulled the Harpo voice and how could you do this to me? And, you know, she's right. And Mariah gave Quad some advice, and Quad says that the group isn't sisterly, which Heavenly took big offense to. She said, you know, yeah, we're not your friends at this point. Friends are nice. Friends give you nice advice. Sisters are mean and tell you what they need to hear, what you need to hear. And that was a word right there, Heavenly. I think she's absolutely right. And, you know, I think that's the big main reason why Quad has not said anything to the group about what's going on. She's not ready to hear it yet, and she's not ready to hear it from these women in particular. So that was pretty much the episode. You guys drop down in the comments and let me know what you thought of the episode. I thought it was okay. You know, Quad's anticipated arrival back into the group didn't do much for me because she did the same thing she always does, which is, you know, dodge the bullets and not talk about the things that need to be talked about. So again, I will put the link to my beloved Waffle Crisp in this video. And also let me know what you guys are snacking on these days. Maybe there's some new snacks out there I need to try or that you want to see reviewed or see what I think of. So drop down in the comments and also let me know what you're snacking on these days. I hope my damn Postmates is here. And I will talk to you guys soon. See you later.